All right, guys, so this is something I want to talk about for a while now. About the state of powerlifting today, essentially. So let's go back to 2012 or 2013 at the backyard meet of the century. I can't recall which year it was. At Mark Bell's old super training gym. And let's look at 75% of that field. They're not even around anymore. It's crazy to me. Like, look at the big names there and how good they were. And a lot of people today don't even know who these guys are. It's just crazy. The sport today has essentially, in my opinion, quadrupled in the number of competitors from 2014 to now in 2019. So in 5 years, I would say the talent pool has blown up to where we have quadruple. That's just my estimate. I don't have any number, the number of competitors. So like going back to that year, I did Raw Unity. Again, I don't even know if anyone remembers this. Raw Unity was the premier meet back in like 2014. For many years, it was the US Open at the time. And I did that in 2014, and the record total at 242 was held by Cade Weber at 2050. I have since then totaled 2100 a year ago in January, so 13 months ago. And Larry Wheels has done 2171, Kevin Oak's done like 2144, and I think 2 or 3 other guys have done roughly 2100. So it's like 6 guys since then have, at least 6 guys, probably like 10 have eclipsed that from the world record total of what would have gotten you gold at Raw Unity. And Raw Unity was a super prestigious meet. So it's like we're seeing numbers get absolutely shattered. Records are not going to stand at all any longer. And there's a number of reasons for this. Obviously, I talked about the number of people, but I'm also going to talk about, I'm going to be straight up with you, I'm going to talk about supplementation and how that's played a role. So we take 4 times as many competitors from 5 years ago, obviously much higher talent pool. Back in 2014, guys like Larry Wheels and stuff weren't even around. That was when Kevin Oak was first coming up, and he wasn't even well known. Larry Wheels wasn't around. Most of the big names right now weren't around at all. Female powerlifting was still pretty much it was much less than what it is now. And the sheer number of competitors wasn't what it is now. So world records are going to get broken every single year moving forward. The sport, if it continues to grow in this manner, which I don't see it slowing down anytime soon, we'll see absurd numbers. Trust me on that. A decade from now, the numbers will be unrecognizable compared to what they are today. And a lot of the big names from today, even 5 years from now, will not be a thing. This is what you're going to see, because this is what I've seen. People don't realize I'm 27 years old. I've been in the sport for 13 years, guys. I've seen people come and go. I've seen the best come and go. I've seen the guys who were the Larry Wheels of 5 years ago not even around anymore. And you're going to see that again 5 years from today. You're going to see the same thing, and it's cyclical. So I kind of do take pride in the sense that I'm not the best, but I'm still kind of at the top. I'm still legitimate. I still have decent numbers, and I've still progressed over all these years, despite the numbers being so much higher. So I do take pride in the longevity aspect of things, but the other factor that you need to consider, and this is my problem with powerlifting today, I think personally, I'm not going to make absolute statements here because I do not have facts, and I'll keep this sort of general, but this is my opinion. I think a lot of powerlifting today is who can cycle the longest and who can take the most gear, straight up. That's my opinion. And it makes sense with more people in the sport and things getting more competitive. What you're seeing now is people are pushing themselves more than they used to. And I give a lot of respect and props to guys like Nick Trigili. Nick Trigili is a former pro bodybuilder. He won his pro card at a very young age in his early 20s. Dominique Cardone is another guy who did the same. And they got out of the sport of bodybuilding because they were saying to themselves, like, it's not worth it. Like, why are we going to kill ourselves to be these pro bodybuilders and take all this stuff and we're going to die at a young age? And bodybuilding is ahead of the curve when it comes to this. Bodybuilding, they're more aware of it than powerlifting. Not to say they don't abuse it as hard, because they sure do. You don't see the insulin use at all in powerlifting, and you don't see much GH use. Not saying those are necessarily terrible things, but that's more of a bodybuilding thing. And bodybuilders, you know, they do take some crazy doses. But I think powerlifting is getting to that point too, where you're seeing crazy doses. You're seeing people never go off. And, you know, not in the sense of never going off like PCTing, because no one PCTs, period. It's not a thing. But people aren't even cruising anymore. It's like one continuous cycle for a year straight. And even I did that when I was like 20, 25, 24. For a year I was like taking Tren. And the highest I went with that was 700 milligrams. But at that age, you know, a lot of guys get into taking gear when they're like 20, and there's no thought. You think you're invincible at that age, 20 to 25. You're just like, whatever. You don't care about the consequences or the repercussions of what this stuff does to you. You know, no one gets blood work. It's a fraction of the people who actually get blood work and monitor their health. Because who really cares? You're just trying to get stronger. That's the mindset, and it's a dangerous mindset. You know, we're all sweeping this stuff under the rug and covering our eyes about the health consequences of this stuff, because it isn't healthy. And so it's gone from, you know, okay, I'm never going to go off and we're going to do a cruise dose, to never even cruising. People are, you know, taking blasts, what used to be blasts, year round. And it's just, we're not going to see the consequences of this for maybe another 2 decades, but the consequences will emerge. It's not, the general perception anymore isn't that you can push this stuff and get away with it, because it's not like that. Even, you know, the abuse that I did, I don't think is as bad as what I see nowadays, but there's consequences to that. I'm trying to get it together now, and that's part of the reason it's difficult. It's like I'm taking 2 steps backwards from where I was before. So I'm trying to be so much healthier with everything, but it's taking steps backward to get my health good and try to progress. It's like, you know, my goals have shifted. I think when you find balance in life, when you find other things going for you, and it's not just all about lifting, you get this mindset where you're like, holy crap, is this worth it to kill myself trying to achieve numbers? And I don't think it is. And this is where I think bodybuilding, some of these guys are figuring it out, like Nick Trigili. Nick Trigili talks about it all the time. He's like, guys are just abusing the crap out of themselves. And for glory, for what? You know, people forget, like, there have been deaths at a young age. We saw, I've referenced this a million times, what we saw with Dallas, what we saw, John Paul Sigmason died at 32. Andreas Munzer, Andreas Munzer is a pro bodybuilder who was doing absurd things. He died at 30, but I think we have to consider the consequences. There are no HRT federations or anything like that, but that would almost be safer, because it's like, I think powerlifting today is who can take the most drugs. That's what I think it is. I'm just being straight up. So there's some genetic freaks out there, and I don't want to make the absolute statement. I think there are guys who do things correctly, and sometimes you just have to make the mistakes and grow with it, and even I can say I've done that. But it's crazy to me. I never even ask anybody what their doses are anymore, because I don't believe anyone what they're telling me. I know what goes on. I can tell by, if someone's lifts never go down ever, then, I mean, you tell me, man. You tell me what's going on. If your lifts, if you're on cycle, if you're a non-natty, and your lifts are constantly going up, or they never take a dip, that's all I'm saying. It's just crazy to me. So, it's like when I pulled 920 on Tren and stuff, and it's like now, you know, I'm lifting on calibrated kilo plates, but I've had to work my butt off to get back to even 840. And it's because I'm doing things so much healthier. I'm not abusing. And it's just like, that dip shows you that huge decline. I benched 485 with a pause. You can look it up on my YouTube. 485 calibrated plates, pause, legit, on Tren. And now, back, I don't know, because I've been doing so much incline now, but back like 2.5 months ago, 420 pause was a huge struggle. That's a 65-pound dip. It's like that, you don't see that from a lot of people. And that's why I say it's a game of who can take stuff the longest, who can never cycle off. So, I don't know, I just think it's something we need to think about, something that needs to be addressed, because people aren't doing blood work, people aren't looking after their health. If you're a young guy getting into this, the best thing I could say is if you're gonna go that route, be smart about it. There's ways to do this correctly. There's ways to not get sucked into this mentality of more is better. As a lot of people get sucked into it. Chances are you will at some point if you go down that road. So this is what I'm trying to preach now. I'm trying to preach like cardio is not a joke. Cardio used to be stigmatized in powerlifting as stupid. Eating healthy, same thing. And even I contributed to this earlier. And it's not a joke, man. It's like I'm at a point in my life personally where I'm content with improving. I'm trying to improve. I'm trying to hit meet PRs, but I'm content with doing it at a much slower pace. And I'm content with maybe not ever being the best. I can deep down look within myself nowadays and say, you know what? If I'm never the best, if I never hold the world records, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that because I'm going to have my health to cling on to as well. I've got my health. And if I have my health, then it's worth it to me. So for me, and I think a lot of guys are going to have to look within themselves to figure this out. Are you okay with not pushing things to the extent of everyone else if it means you're going to have all these other things going for you, if you're going to live longer? It's okay to want to be, it's okay to not want to be the best. That's what I want to say. It's okay to not want to be the best because I know what the best, being the best, probably entails. Maybe not for everyone. There's a lot of genetic freaks, and I do think at the end of the day, the genetic freaks, the genetic best, rise to the top in powerlifting. But at the same time, I know what goes into getting there. I've been in the sport for 13 years. I've been around everyone. I know what goes into it, guys. So for me, if I'm decent, if I'm still one of the best, I'm completely okay with that. If I'm never get to the top, if I'm the third highest deadlift ever at 242, and someone comes along and beats that or whatever, as long as I'm progressing, as long as I'm going in the gym and doing the best that I can, and not fooling myself, trying to be better every year, I'm okay with that. And I think that's what a lot of people need to consider. So this is just kind of my semi-rant video, but I feel like it needs to be discussed. It needs to get out there. So appreciate it, guys.